Samsung finally stepped up their manufacturing game when it comes to making premium handsets. This is the Samsung Galaxy S6. What's going on, everybody? My name is Tomas, and this video is about the Samsung Galaxy S6. I have the black sapphire 32GB variant in hand, and this was all courtesy of T-Mobile. Let's get into the box. The S6 features a nano SIM, so keep that in mind if you're upgrading to this handset. With that, you're provided the obligatory documentation and warranty information. They also include an accessory pamphlet. This is a good time to talk about one of the features that sold me on this handset, and it's wireless charging capability. I needed that, and it's a fantastic feature to have. And they include a SIM ejection tool. How about that? You get a set of headphones with adjustable earbuds, and you get a traditional micro USB. This is different from the Samsung Galaxy S5 as that featured full-blown USB 3.0. Here's an interesting element that's included within this package. It's the fast charging wall adapter. Now this wall adapter features 100 to 240 volt input, which means you can pretty much charge this thing anywhere in the world. The very interesting element about this fast charging wall adapter is the output. It outputs a maximum of 9 volts, which is wow. And while we're here, I'll tell you a little bit about my experience with this wall adapter. I charged the handset from 4% to 46% in 24 minutes. That's crazy. And to me, it looks like Samsung tried to come up with a solution with having the battery enclosed within the unit of this phone. As you may or may not know, this phone has a non-removable battery. And that may be a deal breaker for some of you. But I have a feeling that most, if not all, phone manufacturers are going to be taking a move in this direction. Enough of that. Let's talk about the phone. This 4G LTE capable phone features a 64-bit Samsung Exynos octa-core processor, a 5.1-inch quad, HD, Super AMOLED, 2560 by 1440 pixel resolution, and a 577 pixels per inch screen. Wow, that was a mouthful. This phone has awesome camera sensors as well. The rear 16 megapixel camera features optical image stabilization, and the front-facing camera does quad HD video recording. So that 5 megapixel camera in the front shoots 2560 by 1440 resolution. That's freaking crazy. And it's freaking awesome. This is what phone manufacturers should be doing with this type of device, because people use their devices to take pictures and video and share them with their friends and family. And before we go any further, we've kind of solved the problem with the enclosed battery, but not really. What about your ability to expand storage? Because with this phone, you cannot expand the storage. It does not allow you for micro SD cards. With the claim of 32 gigabytes of storage on the phone, what is it that you actually get? What are the actual numbers? Right out of the box, you get about 22 to 23 gigabytes of free storage. So that's local storage available to you. Now, TouchWiz has made some improvements over the bloatware, and it is reminiscent of my Galaxy S3 experience. But here you can see how bloated it truly is, as it is taking up 6.83 gigabytes of storage on your device. Now that's a heavy mobile operating system in my opinion, considering Android itself at a pure level is about 4 to 4.5 gigabytes total. Now right along those lines, the S6 ships with Android 5.0.2. That paired with the toned-down TouchWiz version makes for a very pleasant and simplistic interaction experience. Now on to another thing that intrigued me most about this phone, the fingerprint scanner. I was a bit skeptical because I have tried Samsung's previous iterations of this attempt at capturing people's fingerprints for security purposes, and at that time it wasn't executed or even implemented in an ergonomic way. Now, with the Samsung Galaxy S6, it is implemented in probably the most ergonomic and efficient way that I've seen on a cell phone. It even performs better than Touch ID in my opinion. The one thing that could use refinement with the fingerprint sensor on the Samsung Galaxy S6 is that if your fingerprint is not working, they should allow for you to do a pattern or enter a PIN. At this point, it only allows you to enter a password. And when you're utilizing the fingerprint sensor for security reasons, you're using it to speed up the access to your device. Now, if your fingerprint is not working, access to your device is significantly hindered, and it takes you a long time to get access to your information. And that's unacceptable in my opinion. Now, the fingerprint scanner works really well, but there have been times when I've needed to get access quickly, but was unable to, and then I had to enter a password. Fix that, and you got a winner here, Samsung. It seems like companies are becoming more interested in collecting our biometrics, and the S6 is no exception to this rule, as they have been trying to collect our biometrics since the S5, I believe. With this iteration of their handsets, the fingerprint sensor is placed in a more ergonomic orientation. With the S Health app, you are able to capture, save, and review your health information based on your heartbeat. And to talk quickly about a feature that the phone has that was a really important aspect in my decision in purchasing this phone, it's the wireless charging. I think it's a fantastic implementation, and like I said, all manufacturers should be on board with implementing this as a feature in their phones. It's just something that allows me to keep my phone charged at all times. I just come into my office and put my phone down on the charging pad and don't even worry about it. And battery life never becomes a concern of mine. The 5.1-inch 2560 by 1440 display that is housed within the Samsung Galaxy S6 is a beautiful representation of what can be done with display technology today. But it comes at the cost of battery, and with the new design language that they've kind of moved forward with, where you can't remove the battery or anything like that, I think it was a bad decision. I held this phone next to my Nexus 5, which has a 1080p display. And of course the difference is there because the pixel density is far more on the Samsung Galaxy S6. But it's not so much that I would want to sacrifice battery life. I think Samsung could have made a decision to go with a 1080p display and been just fine. Now that's not to say that I don't appreciate the Quad HD display built into this phone. And because it has such a beastly processor behind it, it's a very pleasant experience. I am just saying I'd rather have a 1080p display with longer battery life throughout the day. And like I said, there is a difference between the two displays. But I've known Samsung to make some pretty great 1080p displays, and I would have been extremely happy to trade this for that because of the battery life improvement. And that's neither here nor there. That's just me giving my feedback on what it is that I think about this device. And I absolutely love it. And it's something that I'm going to be happy with carrying for the next 1 to 2 years. I mean, consuming media and playing games on this display is an absolutely fantastic experience. I love it. And if you're considering this phone, you'll love it too. Now let's go ahead and hop into some camera things. Alright, so let's take a quick look at the camera interface of the Samsung Galaxy S6. It's not anything that you're not familiar with if you've shot with Samsung phones in the past. I'm not going to be able to cover everything in this video. I'm only going to take a look at things that are important to me, which is video. The rear-facing camera is a 16 megapixel shooter at a 16 by 9 aspect ratio. Some of the video options that you have available to you is Full HD, Quad HD, and you also have 60 frames per second at 1920 by 1080, which is fantastic options when it comes to utilizing this camera. Another thing that you can keep in mind is that you have a slow motion option that is available under the modes that allows you to capture slow motion video. One thing that I will say is that the front facing camera on this phone is freaking fantastic because it allows you to shoot Quad HD, so 2560 by 1440 from the front facing camera. One thing that you will have to note is that you lose HDR, video effects, any video stabilization. You cannot take pictures while you're recording, and then the final thing that you lose is tracking autofocus. So if you're okay with sacrificing that to capture some Quad HD with the front-facing camera, you are good to go. The good thing is that you can turn that feature on and off, so you can jump on over to 1920 by 1080, and all those features are available to you again. The front-facing camera is a 5 megapixel shooter. Let's go ahead and jump into some sample footage of this camera. Alright, so here's a test of the rear-facing camera recording at 4K. As you can see, there's quite a bit of detail here. Everything's set in auto. I wanted to see how this performs handheld, in addition to giving you a sample of how the microphone performs as well. Let me know what you think down below, and if you're interested in me creating an entire video utilizing the Samsung Galaxy S6, feel free to smash that like button. Okay, so here's an example of the front-facing camera recording at 2560 by 1440. When you record at this resolution, there's some loss in camera performance and you lose stabilization. So let's take a walk and see how it performs when it's recording at this resolution. With that being said, I'm going to try to test. Well, I'm not going to try to test. I'm going to lower the resolution and give you guys some samples at 1920 by 1080. All right, so here is 1920 by 1080. It looks like it's stabilizing a little bit better. Let me know what it is that you think, and I wanted to get this background because there's lots of lines in detail to see if the camera is actually stabilizing anything. This is all done handheld. Let me know what you think about the microphone when it's held in this orientation. It's pretty easy to record yourself when you have a monitor to look right at. So in my opinion, both of the cameras on the Samsung Galaxy S6 are freaking fantastic. But it doesn't really matter what I think. What is it that you think? Leave me a comment down below. There was a surprising find when I was testing the Samsung Galaxy S6. It was the microphone. It was capturing some really high quality audio. As you can hear, all of this audio is being recorded directly onto the phone. Now this leaves you a lot of options. You can record audio onto the phone. You can shoot awesome high quality video. All of it being enclosed in one phone makes this a production system in and of itself. Now I may be wrong, but I think the audio being produced here is freaking fantastic. Alright, before I get out of here, let's go ahead and test the speaker on the Samsung Galaxy S6 because it is by far one of the best down-firing speakers I've ever heard. Check it out. So what are my final thoughts on the Samsung Galaxy S6? Well, it's a fantastically constructed phone, and Samsung has really stepped up their game when it comes to premium handsets. And that's undeniable. This thing feels great in the hand, and I recommend that you go out and hold it in the hand. It's a very different experience from what you're probably used to with the Samsung Galaxy S5, S4, S3, for example. Now, do I recommend this phone for you? Well, that depends. What is it that you value? For example, I evaluated this across from the HTC M9, and this had what it is that I valued the most. For one, having two great cameras. I was only expecting the rear-facing camera to be great, but the front-facing camera is freaking fantastic in this phone. And the second thing is wireless charging. Wireless charging is very important in my workflow. Like I said, I take this into my office, I lay it down on the charging pad, and I forget about it. Battery life has never been an issue for me. Even with the Nexus 5. The Nexus 5's battery is not that great. It's actually pretty bad, but I never had to worry about it because of wireless charging. All of the most important elements were housed in this phone, and that's why I chose it. And I was surprised by the speaker, the front-facing camera. The rear-facing camera was to be expected, and also in addition to the screen. The screen is absolutely crisp and sharp, and it's pleasant to read fine text. It's something that I'll continue to enjoy from here until I get my next upgrade. Well, that about does it for me in this one, everybody. If you enjoyed this video, please feel free to give me a thumbs up. If you didn't, give me a thumbs down. Let me know down in the comment section below what it is that I can do to improve. I really appreciate your feedback. It helps me grow in this space. And if you haven't done so already, feel free to check out my channel. If you like the works there, you're more than welcome to subscribe. Thank you for taking the time to watch this video. Take care.